Okay, here we go. Steve Harvey, yes. This is the Candy Steve Harvey fanfiction. いきますよ。Okay. Okay. The night was dark. A young girl with pink hair and pink dress flies far above the flickering Atlanta street lamps. Her face illuminated only by the dim glow of her handheld magical girl cell phone. A masculine voice, like butterscotch, emanates from the speaker. The pizza's in the oven and my wife and kids ain't home. This is one family that won't be feuding. Come on over. I can't do his voice. Steve Harvey の声がよくモノマネできない。I can't do his voice. Fuck me. Okay. A predatory grin splits the girl's face. She snaps the phone closed, vanishing into the night. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Steve Harvey's Atlanta estate, 2:30 a.m. Steve Harvey is passed out and drooling on the sofa. He wears freshly pressed pinstripe suit with amber tie. The Fighting Temptations play softly on a nearby 58-inch plasma TV. There is a knock at the door. Gently, Tom tom tom. Steve Harvey jerks awake and looks around frantically. Groaning, he pulls himself up and stumbles his way to the front door. The door opens to reveal Rinetto Candy, famous VTuber and Canlandian magical girl. She wears an innocent smile on her face and has an opaque black bag strapped to her torso. Steve Harvey's eyes light up and he instantly adopts an alert posture. Candy, you made it, he exclaims, before gesturing to the bag. And I see you've brought something. Candy responds with a sultry voice, like fine licorice. Yes, I brought some candy. Her eyes wander. I have trouble with the packaging, and I was hoping you could help me with your big, strong arms. She peers over his shoulder and into the 35,000 square foot mansion. Aren't you going to invite me in? Of course. Come in, come in. The pizza should be almost ready. He looks over at the kitchen door. Faint wisps of acrid smoke seep out from the edges. I'll go check on it. You just make yourself comfortable. Candy slaps her thigh and points dual finger guns at the retreating host. Finger guns. Pew, pew. You got it, honey. Okay. Making her way to the dining room, she places her bag on the table, adjusts the red bow on her dress, and sits down. She is alone, but not for long. A man congeals from a dark corner and stalks towards the girl from behind. He leans down and whispers in her ear. Now, what's a woman like you doing at the residence of famous American television presenter Steve Harvey? Candy instantly vaults onto the table and unholsters her handheld magical girl gun. She, without hesitation, points it down at the man and pulls the trigger 3 times. What the There are a matching series of clicks. Dateline NBC television journalist Chris Hansen stares at her impassively, having already expended an 8th level spell slot to cast anti-magic field. The reality of the situation sinks in. Oh God, Candy laments, putting her face in her hands. Why don't you take a seat? Candy sits across from Chris Hansen. Between them, the featureless black bag lies unopened on the table. A video camera floats over the man's shoulders. Chris Hansen leans forward. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? My name is Rinetta Candy, sir. And I'm a magical girl from Candyland. He nods and steeples his fingers. Miss Candy, how old are you? 17. The reporter stares at her silently for a full 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many years have you been 17? I am eternally 17. Chris Hansen continues to stare. Candy hangs her head. 623 years. Chris Hansen slams his fist on the table. 623 years? And what, pray tell, were you planning on doing at the house of a man 1/10 your age? Nothing bad. I'm say-so. Really? Chris Hansen pulls out his handheld Dateline NBC cell phone. 3 days ago, you texted Mr. Harvey, and I quote, I'm going to lick your ear so hard you're breathing. I'm gonna lick your ear so hard your brain falls out on the other end. Now does that sound say-so to you? It was a joke, sir. I wasn't actually gonna do that. So your visit here at 2:30 a.m. was entirely innocent. Well then, I guess you wouldn't mind showing us the contents of your bag. No, wait! It's too late. The clasp is undone, and the contents spill out onto the table. A pile of Japanese candy with fiddly packaging, and sitting atop it, a mysterious item. It is a white cylinder, 1 foot in length and 2 inches in diameter. One end is slightly tapered with a bright pink coloration. Oh no. Oh god. Why did I agree to this? これやばいよ。これいろいろやばい。いろいろやばい。Chris Hansen picks it up. What is this? A giant tampon? Candy's face turns beet red. No, it's a pen light, sir. I use it for bonking people. And what would cause a woman your age to go around in the middle of the night bonking 64-year-old married men? Candy doesn't respond. Chris Hansen sighs and stands up. I think we're done here. Suddenly, Candy bolts towards him and gives him a soft on the... This breaks his concentration. The anti-magic field collapses, and Candy once again pulls out her handheld magical girl gun. The journalist opens his mouth to speak, but doesn't even finish a single syllable before the VTuber shoots him twice in the chest and once in the head. やばい、キャンちゃん殺人犯や。キャンちゃん殺人犯よ。何？Oh my god. いいよ、早くしなくて大丈夫。His body crashes to the floor, followed by the video camera. Blood pools beneath the former. Candy steps over his corpse, crushing the camera under her hot pink loafer. Crunch. Steve Harvey wipes his sweat-drenched brow and settles into the only chair in the perfectly circular panic room. He picks up a bright red phone on the wall. After a few seconds, a deep, heavily distorted voice emanates from the speaker. Submit alteration code. Beef, chicken, potatoes. Confirmed. Agent Harvey, report. The target has been successfully lured to the AO. Agent Hansen is engaging, and I reckon he'll subdue her shortly. The muffled sound of 3 gunshots seeps through the bunker wall. Oh, scratch that. Target is loose. Hansen presumed. KIA. Confirmed. Remain in the area and await further instruction. Hail Savory. Hail Savory. Harvey carefully returns the phone to the holder. He glances over at the opposite end of the room. A huge block of metal set into the wall looms next to a high-tech control panel. This is the only entrance into the safe room. Steve Harvey taps his fingers nervously on the arm of his chair. He is entirely safe. The bunker door contains 5 sequence metal plates, each 1 foot thick. There is no way Candy should be able to get into this room. And yet, The television presenter can't stop sweating. The room is uncomfortably warm. Steve Harvey sniffs the air. Smoke? Oh no! The pizza! Faced with the prospect of being cooked alive in his own safe room, Steve Harvey jumps into action. He rushes to the security control panel. A grid of light emerges from the sensor and scans his mustache. The lock disengages with a heavy clunk. 5 layers of steel retract into the wall, one after another. The last revealing Rinetta Candy. She stands with her head tilted at an odd angle, a manic grin on her face. She twirls his handheld savory society pizza cutter in one hand and the pen light in the other. She is surrounded on all sides by fire. 君は私のものにならないんだったら、誰にも渡せないよ。If I can't have you, no one can. Steve Harvey barely has time to let out a confused "Nani?" before Candy lunges at him and rips out his left ear in a single numb. He lies there fatally wounded and bleeding out from the side of his head as the fire rages around him. He thinks back to the video he once saw of a man in a helicopter with a golden mask and aviator sunglasses. As consciousness fails him, he feels a weight settle on his body, and he hears the following whispered softly into his remaining right ear. Welcome to Estelia, gentlemen. I will not lie. The chances of your survival are small. Some may even turn against your friends as living corpses. But you have my word that I will use my arcane gifts to ensure your bodies are given unto Morsgard. This is the greatest reward. More than even gold, for the fate of your soul is an eternal concern. Now come, follow me. Strike down the undead that rise against us. Allow me to find this eldritch amulet. I ask not for my own selfish studies, but for the good of the Empire. Balthazar, Gelt, 15th of Sigmarsit, 2516 IC. Bonk! The end! The end! The end! 終わり。スーパーチャットありがとうございます。The end! The end! The end! なおになんか南アメリカ人が日本語で何を言ったら、なおにってなっちゃいそう。南アメリカ人の発音で。Thank you. Thank you. パチパチパチパチ。キャンジャの初ファンフィクション終わり。